It's Astrology Rose. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny shitty intro.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Astrology Roast. My name, as always, is Karen.
And my name is Itai, and we're back in the studio.
Which
is 2 different houses in 2 different countries.
Yes, and our studio.
My mic is now standing on a rubbish bin. It's a bright orange rubbish bin that I bought when I was 18, and I thought that bright colors, bright retro furniture is my personality. And right now, no one uses it except for the fact that there's like a stack of money that is hidden inside of it. Because someone that I know is going bankrupt and hid a little bit of money in my house. And I know it sounds like I made this up, but no, that is the reality.
Wow, well, you're really safe keeper of money, because you've just disclosed to all of the listeners that you have a retro bucket filled of money that you're recording on. But
if anyone that matters, like a cop or even a thief, is listening and like will end up coming for this money, then I would see it as a personal success. Definitely. Huge success.
Well, that sounds like a very sophisticated studio that you're recording from. I am recording from my studio, which is sitting on a floor in a very cold apartment in Elwood, surrounded by domineering plants that I have not watered, that looked much healthier and happier before I started living here. So that's what I'm surrounded by. I'm also surrounded by some beautiful tarot cards called All Queens Tarot Card Deck, I think, that you gave me.
Beautiful.
And so there's some spiritual energy in this sophisticated studio that I'm recording from. But look, needless to say, we are here with our different recording mechanisms and back to discuss everything that's happening in the universe. It is a huge month ahead that we are about to encounter. So we're going to give you the full DL download about the eclipses that are coming up in July. It's also, we are knee deep in Cancer season. So I have been struggling quite a lot because, as I've discussed on this podcast a number of times, my matrilineal lineage is knee-deep in Cancerians. So my mother's a Cancerian, my mother's mother is a Cancerian, my auntie, who is a matriarch, an Israeli matriarch, is a Cancerian. I am, in a situationship with a Cancerian. So I feel like I've got oceans of emotion that are just pouring around me and into me, and I just can't seem to come up to breathe. I also may or may not have watched the Titanic the other weekend with a couple of friends because I was, struggling to feel some feelings. So there's a lot of Titanic-related ocean themes and metaphors that I might use, so I'm sorry. But we're here to give you the download, so yes.
In the metaphor, are you Rose, are you Jack, or are you actually the ship, the Titanic?
I am the wide berth ship. I'm also the captain who kind of lost he's got this handsome, like, hot daddy vibe, but like when he just realizes that like really there's just no point. I'm also the musicians that keep playing in the cold, even though everyone's about to die, because I feel like I'm laughing whilst, we're meeting our eventual fate. And I'm also the necklace. I feel like I'm that sassy necklace that gets popped into the ocean as well and then discovered, as a celebrity hundreds of years later. So I think I'm them, but I might add as well. So I was watching Titanic with my Leo friend Lauren, my Gemini friend Yair, who we mention and talk about a lot on this podcast, probably too much. But I was sitting in the nook with them, smothered by their love, watching this super emotional and timely, ageless film, Titanic. And I said loudly, like, will I ever feel a love like Rose and Jack? Woe is me. And Lauren said, look, you probably won't. You might not, but you might feel a love like Lauren and Yair. And, I was like, it's It's kind of disturbing and comforting at the same time, like all good friends are. But look, do yourself a favor, see the film and save yourself some money on therapy if you, are worried about that, because it's really a beautiful cathartic experience. But
so beautiful. And I love that you're still proving to us how much of a Gemini you are. When I asked you like which character you related to, and you just listed like 10 of the people that like were in the movie, including the ship.
But the captain, I think I'm the captain in the ship if I have to only reduce it to 2.
Victor Garber, he's such an amazing actor, and I love everything that he ever done, which is, I only know him from 2 things, so it's obviously based on like not much, but he's great. And obviously we can't mention the Titanic without mentioning the only good thing that came from this movie, that is the reference to it in the Britney Spears song Oops, I Did It Again. When
yes.
Yeah, when she speaks to the astronaut and he's like, well, baby, she goes, I thought the old lady dropped it in the ocean in the end. And then he goes, well, baby, I went down and got it for you. And she's like, oh you shouldn't have. Which is like, if you look back in history, this is probably one of the first times that people talked about patronizing men, patronizing women. Like, I'm pretty sure that before the year 2000, when Britney did that, the feminist world didn't have the language and, the perceptions that she brought to the table,
It's true.
And she's saying like, oh, you shouldn't have, like, men assume that women want them to go down to the ocean and get the necklace, but she's like, you shouldn't have. Like, it's
interesting that you mention Britney Spears' important role in feminism, and she's basically the only feminist that I know of that exists today, really. But she's started now posting things on her Instagram where she's quoting herself. So she's putting memes up where she just says a quote and then it says Britney Spears under it. It's interesting. Like, so she's kind of acknowledging her own role in that movement. But I mean, speaking of oceans, like, I guess, like, I don't want to again speak of Britney's situation disrespectfully, but I know that she's also been posting a lot of very interesting stuff on Instagram. So I wonder if she's also being impacted by this crazy Cancerian season that we are in at the moment.
And all of her posts are in the ocean. Like 50% of them are like her in water or talking about the ocean. So
where is she? Where is she?
I think she was in Miami.
Ah, why is she? Yeah. But she's also posting pictures of like medieval images as well.
I know. She's like, she wrote about Mary Magdalene. History tells it that Mary Magdalene was saved by Jesus, but she serves more interest to me in the Bible than anyone. And she liked herself some incense as well. Winky face, winky face. Because in the picture she's holding up like a incense vessel, whatever. And so she knows what's what.
Wow. And I do need, I've gone a bit Gemini now as well, because I did have to fact check who Victor Garber was for those that are fact checking Astrology Roast. And thank you for your meticulous listening to all the Virgos. But Victor Garber was the architect, not the captain.
No, oh, damn.
Yes, he was the architect. He was the handsome architect in Titanic. And the captain was just like this daddy hot guy.
But Victor Garber is also a daddy. And
he is a daddy. No, you're right. You're right. Sorry, I'm not going to take that from him. He's definitely a daddy. He's more like that sophisticated daddy that has like a great literature collection and wears skivvies.
Like a silver fox.
Yes, and he's also in one of my favorite films, also a feminist film, First Wives Club, where he plays one of the ex-husbands of Goldie Hawn, and he ends up in a relationship with Carrie Bradshaw, Sarah Jessica Parker, who plays a hot young thing. And now Sarah Jessica Parker would be dying to play a hot young thing in any movie if anyone would ask her. But that's a story for another time. Feminism has still got a long way to go. But eclipses, Itai, tell us what is happening. What should we be expecting?
Oh my God. So I guess you can...
Oh my God.
I guess you can safely say, and I know people can relate to it because people have been posting on their socials, like amongst all the posts of like, my life is the best, which I'm also taking part in. Every now and then there's a glimpse of like, Cancer season has got me like, and then there's a picture of like a dead body somewhere in the ocean.
Well, I think you've posted some amazing ones, and like, you know, whenever I see Astrology Roast Instagram and your amazing posts, particularly around Cancer season, I've been writing, oh my God, it me, feels, mood, like I just can't help but comment because I'm so impacted by this season as well.
Yeah, but it's not in your head. You're not imagining it. The fault is in our stars, as the movie says. In the book, obviously, it's not easy. Like, Mercury is in retrograde.
No, it's not yet. It hasn't started
yet. Cancer
yet.
season is on. Yeah, no, but the shadow period of Mercury retrograde has started, and it's sometimes even worse than the actual retrograde.
And can I just mention, I've literally got 15 documents that I have to sign for a new contract sitting on my table, and like, I'm terrified that I'm not going to get it all in before Mercury retrograde hits. Like, I don't know what to do.
I know, but the tip that we can offer to anyone that's like scared that has to sign anything, you don't need to like stop living. You don't need to wait. It's okay. It's just about being mindful. So it's just about reading that contract one more time. Now, for someone who probably didn't read it once, you know, why would you? Then that might be a problem. But you want to just read those contracts again, like with an extra care.
Do you think I could hire someone, maybe anyone listening to this podcast? Like, if you're, you know, want to make a easy $10, like if you want to come over and, you know, like hang out and stuff, but like, maybe, you know, read some documents for me because it's Mercury retrograde, but I have the attention span of a fish. Anyway, hit me up on the socials, but go on, Itai, tell us, what are we to expect from Eclipse season?
I feel like, you know, when like there's a fancy dish in a restaurant and it's like this slow roasted shit on a bed of leaves, and I'm like, it's basically like piles of different textures of shit on top of each other. And we have the bed of the Cancer season, which is like, you know, envelops everything that's going to be followed, which is Cancer season, water, emotions, family. Now, I know there's not only bad things about Cancer season, there's also being really into self-care and nurturing yourself and nurturing others, having some quality time, well-being, like that's all Cancer, and we're not going to take it away from them. So these are your kind of like options to go channel that energy. I made a meme this week that was just about like loving everyone. I wanted to vomit, but I was like, you know what? Instead of just making posts about how miserable I am, why don't I make like a nurturing post? Aww. And people vibed it. So put your energy also into nurturing places. Then on that bed of Cancer season, we have, how would you call it? Maybe like a mash of Mercury retrograde, which is, you know, we all know about it. We all talked about it. Just extra care for talking and listening. And then we have the eclipses, which are going to be our main kind of like roast, slow roasted tofu dish on top of all of this, which is a little bit more kind of like intense. And that's basically the new moon, which is going to be the July 2nd. And that's a new moon in Cancer. And I took all this information from the article that Astro Twins have online. and it's literally the first result on Google when you write eclipses July 2019, 18. Sorry.
FYI,
Wait,
they are
what the
both
fuck is the year?
Sagittarius twins who are Israeli, just in
Yes.
case anyone needed to
Wait.
know.
Are we in 2018 or 19?
19.
Right. Yeah, well, then 19. That's a shock to me, to be honest.
You know, my
basically-
grandmother said the same thing today. She said to me 10 times, wait, is it Yom Shabbat? Is it like Saturday or Yom Rishon? I said Yom Rishon, Sunday. She's like, wait, 10 minutes later, is it Saturday? I'm like, no, it's Sunday. Wait, what? Is it Saturday? So it's the same thing that you experienced.
I
You know,
get it.
we're all the same. We're all the same.
The fuck is the year? The fuck is the day? Anyway, so they wrote in their article something that I totally related to, and it said this would feel like somebody has just turned off the lights. And because the new moon is there and there is an eclipse, it's like nothing is illuminated. It's basically you're walking in the darkness. Now, because it's in Cancer, it's a lot of stuff that has to do with family and home.
Oh,
and,
God.
Yeah, and your relationships to that and to your own home. It could also be an individual thing, like you and your home and you and your place in the world or your place where you are.
Yes.
But something that they wrote as a tip is like when all the senses are gone, try to use your sixth sense. And I think that's a really important tip.
So what is your sixth sense as an Aries with a Virgo moon? What's your secret like way of intuiting?
Oh my God. I don't know if I'm able to answer that. I'm feeling like I literally...
Too in it.
Yeah, I'm too in it. My gut says like I have nothing to give you. But I think it always comes down to the sentence that Zoe always say, our friend from the friendship episode, which is your intuition is never mean to you. So
I love that quote.
Whatever it is to you that feels like it's good, like nurturing. And I think when it comes to nurturing yourself, it does come down to positive self-care actions, even though, yep.
Yeah. And I think when I think of the Cancer season, it feels like you're being nurtured in someone's bosom, but slowly they're squishing you and you can't breathe. And I might say, like, I know it's a bit cheeky, but, you know, people had a lot to say about Gemini month. They were, you know, oh, it's this, it's that. I can't deal with it. I'm too anxious and it's too hectic and everything's exciting and there's too much going on. I need some rest. Well, you got what you asked for. And now you can lay in your bed of emotion, because now we are right on the opposite scale in Cancer season, and it's all emotion and it's all feminine energy of like smothering feeling and sensitivity and moon. And I might say, so the eclipse is in the sign of Cancer. So the moon governs Cancer, and that's where it's kind of naturally at home. But I guess that can mean that the energies of this moon are more potent and more powerful. The fact that it's going to be an eclipse is already meaning it's powerful, but it's in its kind of home state, so to speak. So it's in the sign of home that represents home, and it's in its home. So really time to kind of sit there with the lights off, metaphorically or actually, if that's your desire, and reflect on what it means to feel at home in yourself, and potentially as well in your physical surroundings, and potentially the female role models or female figures in your life or in your family that have nurtured you, or what it means to nurture others as well, and what do you need to let go of around those expectations and values during this eclipse. I think that's what it's signifying, at least for me.
Definitely. And yeah, it's an energy. It's true. You're right. Like the energy of Cancer is super strong because of the moon and the relationship with them. And I think that you can channel it to positive things. What are those positive things? Let me know in the DMs, because I have no fucking clue.
I think those positive things are Ariana Grande. I think also, Turning Off the Lights is a wonderful song by Nelly Furtado. I don't know her star sign, but I know that it's a fun song about like how turning
every good singer.
Like turning off the lights can be sexy, using your intuition can be sexy. Feeling emotions can be sensual and beautiful and tender. So being nurtured can actually not always be smothering. It can be gorgeous and lush and beautiful. So we can step into a really gorgeous place with this time.
And a short Google search proves that Nelly Furtado is a Sag. She shares a birthday with Britney.
Oh my God.
That's something I never noticed, because on Britney's birthday, I spent a day listening to her songs and making collage pictures with both of us. I never had time to notice anyone else that has a birthday on that day. But speaking about birthdays, I think that also you want to go on Facebook and check who of your people, the Cancer people in your life, has a birthday. They do want to know that you remember them.
Yes, they sure do.
They might not want to celebrate, or they wouldn't want to maybe a surprise party, but they want to know, So go over that list, see if there's anyone worth, keeping in touch with, and make sure you tell them that you remember them.
Now, 2 weeks later, you're actually going to get another eclipse for the full moon, which will be in the masculine, patriarchal, goals-orientated sign of Capricorn. So that is going to also mess shit up. And I feel like we are going to hear a lot about the relationship between, the masculine and the feminine, and between planting a seed and letting it grow. Yes. I mean, that sounded a bit gross, but yeah, you know what I mean.
And also, it's going to happen on the full moon, which is full of light. And basically, it's going to be, if now feels like someone's turning off the lights, the second one, the full moon one, will be as if someone turned on the lights, and it's very, very bright. And I don't know if Nelly Furtado has a song that could fit here.
Called Turning on the Lights.
Maybe Promiscuous Girl, but...
Yes, that's when you... So actually, basically, what you need to do, listeners who are taking this advice literally, you need to turn off all your lights on the full moon, which is July 2nd, but also July 3rd, if you're in the southern hemisphere or near Melbourne. So turn off all of your lights, and then keep them off for 2 weeks. You cannot put the lights on for 2 weeks. And when you turn them off, you'll need to play Nelly Furtado, Turn Off the Lights, of course, which you might find it hard to find the remote control for your stereo player because the lights are off, but just use your intuition. And then after 2 weeks, when it is the full moon in Capricorn, turn on the lights and then listen to... Fly Like a Bird, and then listen to Promiscuous Girl with Timbaland and Nelly Furtado, and that's when you know that your healing and your work is done.
Yes. So we basically solved everything. But because the full moon is in Capricorn, there's going to be some stuff about hidden opportunities that might come to light, a scandal that can be exposed because, Capricorn is very traditional, but also the big learnings of Saturn that rules that sign. So what you need to do, according to the Astro Twins, is actually to be with the hand on the pulse and be reactive, because it's going to be so illuminated. And that's a quote, in order to prevent a meltdown, you need to rip the fruit quick. So It's pretty scary shit.
Wait, so I don't understand. So we have to be ready to react and ready to take the opportunities that pop up. We can't just be chilling out. So maybe turn the lights on the day before, so you're ready.
You hit play on Promiscuous Girl, and you straight away, while it's on, you straight away go talk to your parents and ask them if there's anything they've been hiding from you since you were born.
Or maybe that's the moment when they can come and steal the money from your retro bucket in your
Oh
house.
my God. I don't know if I should have mentioned it, but it's too late. I'm not editing this episode. Well, I think it's important to mention. I don't know if our listeners like get tired of, us mentioning the same people all the time, but, they're close to our heart. And Lindsay Lohan is a Cancerian after all.
Yes.
And, whenever a Cancerian loses a home, an angel dies or something. And she, or some shit, she actually, there's like a BuzzFeed article about what happened to Lindsay Lohan Beach Club. I never really knew what it's called. And
I think it changed. I think I was the only person that watched it from start to finish, her
Seriously.
reality TV show on MTV. And I was really, really rooting for Lindsay Lohan the whole time. And then she really dropped the ball at the end. But like, as you said, her actual beach club, the show has not been renewed because of poor ratings, which is sad in and of itself, but also the actual beach club, which she thought would become a global hospitality / tourism industry with her name on it. I mean, every episode she would say, "This is my brand. Like, don't trash my brand." And I'm like, Lindsay, you've done enough, to do that yourself.
Someone just trashed her brand because this place looks like
A dump.
literally like a post-apocalyptic beach club now, and there's like not a soul there, and it's really sad. But at least we know there's not going to be a second season. So
I'm so sad because Itai, not everyone will know this, but me and you had also planned to go to Lindsay Lohan's beach club at some stage. It was, it was a plan, and I feel like I've also lost a home. Like, I wanted to pay for overpriced chips and ouzo whilst dancing with Lindsay Lohan, to DJ Calvin Harris. Like, when will I ever get that opportunity? Ever?
I know. Well, what can we do? I think that, well, for me, dealing with eclipses and retrogrades and, just life in general as we know it, is a lot of the times through other people, like through surrounding myself with people that, make me feel good. And I know that there's a lot of people that are introverts, which is something that I heard about, but I never could relate to.
Really?
Yeah, like all my my entire chart, again, except for my Pisces placement, my out of the context water placement, that is the Pisces Mercury. Like, my entire chart is all these like planets that are very in your face, like Aries and Capricorn, and just like planets that are very strong and social. Like, I know Capricorn's not social, but it's very strong, yeah. So I find myself to turn to people mostly. And I now, in this time, in these hard times, I find myself with Leos. So one of my friends that is a Leo sun and one of my friends that is a Leo moon, but also other Leo placements, and they're both very Leo in their behavior. And I don't know if it's good or bad, because on one hand, we have this like cycle of nurturing through gifts and like,
yes,
just spending all of our day together. We like literally wake up at noon, go to a cafe, sit there for 4 hours, then split for like an hour, and then come again and like spend the night.
God, that sounds like the life. That
It's
sounds
literally
great.
like, it's like Sex and the City. We just like sit outside cafes and like judge everyone that goes by.
My God,
And,
that
like,
sounds great.
But it's also like you feel trapped in like
Yeah.
that like that energy you spoke about, where you're like being nurtured, but also like, am I also being like strangled right now? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yes.
But
such
they're
a
both-
fine line.
Yes, they're both really like the classic Leos, or Leo behaviors. Like, one of them just came back from living overseas for 4 years, just like me. So we both kind of like in the same thing. But he just like, how Leos have to have everything super dramatic and big and like as if they're starring their own movie. He just decided,
I do.
yeah, he just decided that he's like, he came here for a 2 weeks visit. He like lives in LA, and he was like, I'm just gonna come visit in Israel for 2 weeks. And while he was here for those 2 weeks, he decided he want to move here. So he just like found an apartment, furnished it fully, like from scratch. Now he's gonna fly his dogs to Israel, like 3 dogs. He's just like so impulsive and does everything big. And I'm like, wow, I want a little bit of that dramatic effect in my life, but my Virgo moon is like holding back from it. But I guess it's good to just be around it, but also it's terrifying. So I guess my tip to you is choose carefully who you surround yourself with. I'm not sure yet that I made the right choice, but...
Well, look, I can definitely speak from my own experience of hanging out with one of my Leo best friends, that it can become quite overwhelming. I have made the good idea or the mistake of starting a financial planning program with my crazy Leo friend. So there is this ubiquitous book in Australia called The Barefoot Investor. And basically it's this smarmy, folksy, annoying white guy that talks about how you can make money. And there's this process that people go through in Australia that when you turn, 29, 30, you might be going through your Saturn returns, you have an anxiety attack because you don't have any assets or any money. And so you go to Kmart or Walmart, as you might call it. I don't know what the Israel equivalent is. And you pay 15 or 20 bucks to buy this book with this Aussie blokey guy on the front. And he gives you all the tips about how to make small steps to make money. So I thought it'd be a great idea to ease my anxiety around my future and existential despair about life by buying this book on my lunch break. And then I made the even better decision to ask my Leo friend if she wants to do it with me. And the beauty of the book is that he tells you to have a wine night, like to have a fancy dinner and treat yourself to a nice cup of wine every week. And that's when you do the steps in the book. So you kind of are treating yourself to it. My Leo friend tried to do this with her partner, but I think they fought. But they did go for the wine, but they couldn't seem to get along with just each other. So I've decided to do it with her. And let me tell you, when we were actually going through the Barefoot Investor process again, the Leo qualities were very pronounced and very gorgeous. There was a lot of get-rich-quick schemes that were discussed in the meeting. None of us could do any of the tasks. So her Gemini partner came as well. He was doing watercolor painting at the time. I got distracted. And my Leo friend was telling me how she can make, 100K quick and, we should do this and that. And so it was a real experience. And we also ordered a lot of ice cream. The Gemini friend, he ordered his ice cream as his main meal and then the savory dish as a dessert because he wanted to mess things up a little bit and keep the waitresses in the Thai restaurant on their toes. Yeah. And then afterwards we went for some more ice cream afterwards, and then we went to the chemist to get some bath salts.
Wow.
We have not set another date to catch up. To do the next steps of the Barefoot Investor. I still don't know my financial future. But yeah, I think surrounding yourself with Leos can be a very exciting, fun and expensive experience. So I don't know how it would work with 2 Leos and an Aries. That is just too much.
I know. It's too much. But, you said how the white guy wrote this book that, like a self-help book, and maybe it is something we need to turn to, like just get a white guy that will tell you what to do. Like they're so confident.
They are very confident, and I did have an experience recently of a white guy telling me what to do. And I feel like we've spoken a lot now about the eclipse season that's coming up and Cancer season and Mercury retrograde, but I think the organ or the character that we haven't really mentioned in this crazy chaos that we call life is the heart, our hearts. So not the heart locket in the Titanic, no, not that beautiful $1 million or $100 million piece of jewelry, but the actual hearts that we have. And there is a lot that's been coming up for me and for others around love and connection and relationship and home. And, you know, I was at a Cancerian's birthday the other day, and the discussion came up to discuss the love languages, this famous book called The 5 Love Languages. And I'm sure a lot of people have heard of this. It's written by a Christian pastor, I think, not like pastor P-A-S-T-A, but P-A-S-T-O-R, like in Seventh Heaven, you know, like the hot one in Seventh Heaven. And not the hot one in, what's the one where they have multiple wives? Big Love.
I haven't seen any
So yeah.
of this.
Really? Oh, there's the hot like Christian but scary pastors.
I grew up with one channel, like the government TV channel, so I haven't seen most of the things, and I'm still catching up on, like, I saw Back to the Future like last year.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
look, they're
Like
just
Saved
shows.
by the Bell. I don't know.
Yeah.
What it is.
Okay.
I don't know. No,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't. I know that Mario Lopez was there because he's like hot, but I have no idea what the show was about. I
Yeah,
can
but
guess
that's
it
an
was at a
old one.
school. Was it?
Yeah. Yeah. It was at a school. Was Drake in it,
amazing.
or is that not Drake? No. Oh my gosh. I don't know either.
Who knows?
I'm from Australia. We also like don't have anything in Australia. Like we just have animals running around and snakes and pythons and tarantulas. Like we don't even have like reliable internet.
Well, you have the Hemsworth brothers, so something.
We do. We do. Oh, they're very they're very tall. They're very tall, and that's
And I know that the stereotype about Australia, outside of Australia, is that everyone in Australia look like the Hemsworth brothers. And as someone that came from outside of Australia, I can tell you it's true. Everyone in Australia is so hot and tall and blonde, and like they look like the Hemsworth brothers. Personally, I like more of a Middle Eastern daddy vibe, but if you're into that, then like move overseas and like start traveling now, because it takes about a week to get there.
Yeah, I see. I think I've also got a Middle Eastern daddy issues thing going because my dad is actually Middle Eastern. So yeah, look, it's not the country for me, but the Hemsworth brothers are very tall, very, very tall. You're right. You're 100% right. Now, in this convoluted, distracted way, what I wanted to talk about was the love languages, because I think this might actually help some of our listeners who aren't aware of the love languages and who might be experiencing challenges in how they communicate love and how they receive love. So as I said, this book is written by some white Christian dude. Now, the beauty is you can get the 5 Love Languages book. It's a small book. It's all purple. The design leaves a lot wanting, but it is a book about the 5 languages that we use to communicate love and to receive love. The beauty is he's also got the 5 love languages for singles. Ooh. So you can get the 5 love languages for singles as well. So don't feel excluded.
Though. Like, wouldn't you have one language and then it will be the same when you're single or when you're in a partnership?
Well, there's also some very strange racial themes in the book. So there's a lot of pictures of like couples, like 2 white people and then 2 Asian people and then 2 Indian people. It's like people can only be in relationships, not just with someone who knows their love language, but they have to
have to speak the same literal language.
It's
according to the book. You have to speak the same physical language.
From another planet, seriously. And it reminded me of the time when, for my bat mitzvah, I was gifted a book from Tiffany's that was all about the etiquette, like how to have good etiquette and behavior as a young woman.
Oh my God.
I was very disappointed. But anyway, so there are 5 love languages. And I think, interestingly, they actually do correlate somewhat with our star signs. I know a lot of people will be like, hey, what? Like, that's not real. But, like, I would respond to them, like, is 5 love languages real? Like, has anyone fact-checked this guy? No, they haven't. And he's like a multi-million-dollar, pastor that has his religious community and his financial security. So why can't I talk about, astrology? Anyway, So I will talk about what the languages actually are. Actually, Itai, you probably know them better than I do because you do know the language of love well.
Oh, I know the language of love and loss. Well, the 5 languages are...
There isn't a book. He didn't make a book about the languages of loss, but that seems like a business opportunity that we could fill.
Oh, well, that's actually a Club 7 song that I'm quoting. Because I loved and lost the day I let you go. Have I ever? Have you ever? Beautiful song. Just like every other band, there was one person who sang, and then there's like 6 people around her. Joe, I love you. Anyway, the first love languages: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch.
Yes.
And yes, so they correlate with the signs or the elements, I would say. Not perfectly, because obviously there is 5 languages and 12 signs, and I'm not a math expert, but I do know that you can't fit 12 into 5 equally. I guess we can put Gemini in 2 of them and like do a bit of a modification, but technically they do split unevenly.
Okay, and what did you get?
Well, my actually love language, I feel like the computer was like smoking and it was like, I don't know what to do. Like I was answering all these questions, and then it gave me basically that beside of receiving gifts, all the other 4 were equal.
How interesting.
Words of affirmation was like slightly above the others, but it was like all of them were almost perfectly equal. So yeah, I guess as suspected, I do not know a love language.
Well, as someone that has given you words of affirmation, like I can speak to the fact that you can't really receive those words of affirmation. So I don't understand if maybe you do enjoy words of affirmation, but you don't seem to be able to receive those positive words. In terms of receiving gifts, you give a lot of gifts to people, but maybe you don't need to receive them.
I don't know. What was yours?
I got words of affirmation, I think followed closely with acts of service, which was interesting. It was nice. Definitely like quality time, don't care.
So that's what you want to, that's how you receive love or give love?
Yes, which is interesting because I don't know if I need, like, if I really connect when people tell me words. I don't really believe them or listen to them. I definitely, acts of service do mean a lot to me, but sometimes those acts of service might be someone saying a nice thank you. So I think, maybe it does make a bit of sense. Like as a Gemini who is ruled by Mercury, I guess communication is our love language in a way. Yeah. So that does make a lot of sense to me.
But I also feel like acts of service for you, like you often say, I don't want to come, but I want to be invited. Yeah. And I think acts of service is like, inviting you to places and like kind of remembering you exist in a way.
Yes. I do like that mirror from others to know that I exist. And I think maybe in this sense, it's interesting for listeners to actually know what their moon is, because I wonder if your love language speaks more to your moon rather than where your sun is, because it's about how you receive love, not how you necessarily just give it.
Your moon and your Venus. So we made a meme on the Instagram with like where the star signs would be, so we can just go over it quickly. You could also go and read there's like 1,000 comments with people that are either agreeing or disagreeing or like getting all of their emotional how would you call it, discomfort on a meme. And I think that's a really good way of dealing with your feelings.
And go, if you need the actual full book, just go online and purchase the book. It was published in 1992, which is when some of the best self-help books written by white men, like Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, were published. And so I just think that this is a really timeless book as well. Yeah, in the same way that
They were written by white men, and then they were given by white men to their wives at the time. I remember my dad bought my mom like 10 self-help books, and I was like, why don't you read them yourself?
Yes, and this book is currently $7.10 from Google Play. You can purchase an audiobook. And it is in the genre of Christian literature. So, I mean, that's not a genre that I've dipped my toes into as much as I should. But, I mean, the Bible, is that Christian literature? I don't know. But it's worth having a listen and having a look.
Listen, if you're on a budget or you don't really want to support that person, which is like, I can say as someone who didn't read the book and just read a few beginnings of articles online, I think that's just as good as reading the whole book. Like, you can read the 5 titles and be like, I get what physical touch means, you know? You don't really need to write an explanation.
So I'm curious about the 5 languages for singles, because I'm wondering what that is. Like, you're right. How is a separate book existing? But anyway, go on.
So the words of affirmation, as suspected, Gemini and Libra, you know, air signs. And then there's also Sagittarius, which is a fire sign. But it's signs that are either that need validation, like the Libra, or it's Gemini and Sagittarius that, like, if you won't tell them, they wouldn't really know, you know? So when the Libra really needs you to tell them because they want you, they are needy and they love to hear how beautiful they are and how important they are. The Gemini, if you won't tell them explicitly, I love you, they would just assume you're one of their mates or like a family or distant family member, you know?
Or I would say as well, the Gemini love language would be a witty text. Yes. Like, it might be a funny text that it says like a joke, but that indicates that they love the person. 100%. It doesn't have to be, I think, too much I love you, even though it's clear for their chaotic minds. Whereas a Libran might like to receive a text that says I love you in capital letters 10 times. And emojis and capital letters 10 times. And an Aquarius, I mean, I wouldn't send an I love you to an Aquarius. Like,
no.
That's, you'll never see them again. Like,
yes, but the Sagittarius is more someone that you want to keep them, you want to tell them that they're also intellectual, even though they're like a bratty fire sign. Okay, moving on. Acts of service. We have Cancer and Virgo. And actually, in the comments, Eliza Kelly, the astrologer that also has an amazing podcast, she commented Pisces as well, which I agree with. And which is also, you know, the Virgo and the Pisces. The Gemini and the Sagittarius, they're both in the same places, which makes sense. So Cancer, Virgo, and we can chuck the Pisces there as well. Those people that their language also is to give acts of service, but I feel like they also measure like their importance in other people's lives if they pay attention to them or do things to them. And also like the mentality of, I'm doing so much for everyone, like when will someone do something for me? So I feel like it comes from there. Also, you know, Cancer, very family home oriented. So it's so easy to do those acts of service, like leave a note, cook them a meal, I don't know, you know, stuff like that, as well as Virgo. Pisces, I would say also quality time with the Pisces, because they really need that time. Like, you know, they're not ones to just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. They kind of like go into things. So that too. Do you have any suggestions for acts of service for Cancerian, Virgos, or Pisces?
Well, I think acts of service is certainly, like when I think of Virgo, for example, I imagine that they are often doing acts of service all the time, but I actually think their love language might be words of affirmation in response to their acts of service. So I think their way of showing love is doing things for others, but their way of receiving love, because they're also ruled by Mercury and love communications. So I think a Virgo actually needs to be told, thank you, or I noticed that you took the garbage out, or I, you know, noticed that you know, did this thing for me. So I think that's kind of a bit of a different thing for Virgos. Yes. And actually same with Cancerians. Like, I think that they are very giving and they do a lot for others and they are really nurturing. But when it comes to what they need to receive, I actually think they need quality time and physical touch. Like, I think Cancerians need that constant, you know, immersion with people because they're quite watery and they're emotional and sensitive and they need their lover to be present. That's my interpretation.
That's definitely true.
And they're always at home. So if you're not going to be spending quality time with them, like, where will you see them? Like, you have to just go to their house.
It's true. But then the question is, like, why would you want to do that? But I guess some people do.
As I've said, Ariana Grande.
It's true. Let's just think about Ariana. Receiving gifts. Well, in the meme, it says, I wrote Taurus, and then everyone in the comments were like, Taurus is definitely physical touch, which I totally agree with. I do think that they appreciate gifts, but yeah, definitely physical touch. And I was like, then who will be in receiving gifts? Like, which sign would be in receiving gifts? And I think
Libra.
Yes, and then I was thinking, okay, yeah, it should be the Librans. They love gifts, but it's tricky. You have to buy something really, really nice. You can't just
and I feel like Librans are constantly buying themselves gifts. So, like, they actually don't need anyone else to give them any gifts. They're constantly, like, online shopping. Yes. Like, my beautiful manager from a job that I was working in, she was constantly getting packages sent to the office and had these beautiful new tidbits and things. And, like, a lot of Librans I know, you know, you just need to walk past them in the workspace or any other time and they're constantly on ASOS and purchasing something. So do they need more gifts from their loved ones? Like, I don't know.
Maybe it's just money. Maybe just transfer the money.
Or I think as well, maybe for, you know, particularly for a Taurus, like, can you combine gifts and touch? So can you gift a Taurus a voucher for a massage?
Definitely.
So they get both of them. And then
Smart.
Can you gift your Taurian lover your naked body when they come home and oil them up and give them this, like, full body massage as the ultimate gift and as the ultimate act of your surrender to them? Because we all know that Tauruses love to own things and own human beings and lock them in. So is that something that you could give to your loved one? I don't know. Just an idea.
The answer is yes. I think the answer to your question is 100% yes. Moving on to quality time. So we have there Capricorn, and now we can also add Cancerians based on your analysis, which is spot on. And originally there was Pisces there. Signs that appreciate time and effort and, you know, people being present in their presence. I think it's them. I think it's those signs that are, you know, kind of like the serious relationship-y signs. I don't know what that would look like for a Capricorn to spend quality time, but...
I feel like Capricorns as well, they're an interesting bunch because, like, they have this serious exterior, but the more that you get to know the Capricorns in your life, they do actually want to receive love, even though they might not receive it properly or they might brush it off. So I think you have to be persistent and persevere. And, you know, it might look like quality time for some Capricorns. They might actually just need you to say, hey, let's go out for a date and do the Barefoot Investor together, or let's go for a walk along the beach. Or maybe it needs to have that practical Saturnian quality to it. So, like, let's hang out and do our tax return together, or talk about purchasing our first home, or, you know, go and fold the laundry together or iron our shirts for the coming week. Like, it might be practical acts of service combined with quality time. So that's your way of kind of letting the Capricorn soften into that love and communicating in a language that they can understand. And look, this is all not evidence-based, obviously, but try it on your lovers, try it. You know, if you're single, then, you know, try it on your friends, like, or do what you need to do.
Yes. And we have our last one, which is physical touch, which was probably the easiest one to make because obviously we have Scorpio there, and we have Leo, and we have Aries, Mars and the Sun, and just the sexual energy of the Scorpio. But I feel like it comes from different places. Like,
yes,
Leos obviously just love public display of affection. They just love that. Makes them feel special, makes them feel like they're in a movie. And I think they need to be constantly touched, just like constantly. I read this once that an elephant, which is my spirit animal, for the first 2 years of their life, they need to be constantly touched by a member of the like herd. So like literally every few seconds, someone will like caress them or just slightly touch them, so they will.
That's so nice.
Like to develop their sense of self and their belonging to the herd. And I think Leo, in a perfect world, any Leo would be touched like every few seconds by someone.
But I have had I have had a Leo say to me, and also a Libran say to me when I've been discussing the 5 love languages, is that they need all of them. So Leo was like, look, I need them all. And then I had a Libran say, look, to be honest, I'm a really needy person and I'm really difficult to date and I need all of them equally. And I was like, wow, it's such a different perspective again. Like the Libran that told it to me was like, I'm needy. And I'm difficult and I need them all. Whereas the Leo was like, yeah, like give me them all. Like the more the merrier. Like I want the gifts. God. I want the time. I want the touch. I want the service. I want all of the words. Like,
and I'm like, none of them feel quite right. I'm not sure. There's also Aquarius, which is on the Instagram. Is not on any of them as a joke.
Maybe that's the singles book. Maybe that's the 5 love languages singles.
Yeah, I feel like Aquarius can just like do any of them and enjoy any of them. As we say often in the astrology world, Aquarians are from a different planet and they probably have a different language.
Yeah, well, I wonder what star sign Gary Chapman, who authored the 5 love languages, is.
What's his name again?
Gary Chapman. Gary.
Oh, Gary Chapman.
Gary. Much more boring, just Gary Chapman. Like, I just know that if I wrote a book under the title Karen Lazarovich, like, I don't think it would be, a bestseller from 1992. Like, not with a name like mine.
No, but he's a Capricorn, so no one is shocked that a Capricorn chose to define the most abstract concept of love into 5 languages that are measured, and a test can tell you which one you have.
Oh my God. Wow, that is creepily accurate. So if anyone wants to do the test, it's available online. You don't have to purchase the book on Google Play or hire it from your local library. You can just do it online. Let us know what you are and if you actually identify with it and if it correlates at all with your star sign, in particular your moon sign. Yes. Don't go around touching people or giving them gifts if they don't want that. That's not okay. It has to be asked.
Asked verbally. And before we go, I am opening the request. Maybe I'll start a GoFundMe, but anyone that want to write the 5 hate languages, I think that's a book that's waiting to be written in our day and age where people, are so quick to hate and judge. I think that someone should formalize it. Someone should give us, how do I hate the best, and I think
I think you're onto something, Itai, but I also similarly thought that, the 5 love languages left a lot of languages of love out. Like I was talking about the love languages and was speaking to someone that I may or may not be dating at the moment. And I was saying, where's my love language? Like where is like being avoided and ignored for, ages and then being dropped like one text. Like that's my love language. Like that's how I need to be appreciated, is to be ignored and then acknowledged. And where is, there's quality time, but where is car time? we've spoken on this podcast often about how having, safe time in your car where you can sit in your car if you're fortunate to have a car and sit with some hummus and some snacks and cry and sing music. And if you're camping, you can sit in your car and put the heater on and pretend, that you're still camping, but also that you're in a cafe and you're comfortable. So car time is also a beautiful time for people and a way to communicate love. I just think there's a lot there.
Gary Chapman, just another man that disappointed us with his stupid 5 love languages. Maybe the singles book has, eating hummus and crackers in your car. I would never know because I would never read it. But
I think the singles book definitely has being ignored and car time with hummus. I think that's what singles need.
Wow. Well, us, DM us, tell us what's up with your love languages. Tell us what's up with your hate languages. We're here for you. If someone wants to pop into Karen's house and read her contract a few times,
oh yes,
so
please,
she would, contact us and let us know. Thank you for sticking around, and we'll see you next time on Astrology Roast.